What's up, everyone? I figured I would do a little recap of all the events that we've done this season. And first off, I would definitely like to say thank you to my wife, Tanya, QuickTrick Alignment Tools, and all of the great people that I've met over this year that have helped me get into taking my car to the track and who have provided any information or any help in any way. So thank you to all of you for helping me get to where I am right now. So first off, I started the year by doing a track day with NASA, or the National Autosport Association, at the National Corvette Museum. So this is my first time ever receiving formal instruction on track. This weekend went great. I learned a ton. The classroom time that you receive with NASA is, I believe it's crucial. A lot of people think it's dumb to sit in a classroom and learn about driving, but some of the stuff that they point out to you, you would have never thought to try or do on track. So it's always really nice to have those classrooms. The National Corvette Museum, it's a really big track. It's honestly really intimidating. 3.2 miles, 23 turns was a lot to take in, along with all of the instruction that I received over the weekend. It was a lot. Like I said, I had a great time. As you see here, this is Jason Morris in the car with me. And this is my first weekend meeting Jason, Brad Adams, and Nick, and Andy Work, and all those guys. So shout out to you fellows. It was nice to have someone to pad up with, because it was me and my buddy Tyler that came down to this event. It was just us. So, and also shout out to Tyler for making the trip up from Nashville to Bowling Green to come hang out with me and shoot some photos of me while I drove on track. I don't have a whole lot more to say about this weekend. It was really fun, really fast track, really scary for first time in the Accord. I had previously done an endurance race with Lucky Dog Racing League, and I drove like a little 90 horsepower EF Civic. So it was nothing close to my Accord. The Accord is like I've said previously, it's a V6. It was 240 horsepower, 212 foot-pounds of torque. I actually just dropped a 2006 engine in it, which is 244 and 211. It's a little minor differences, but yeah, that's about it. So this was my first actual round driving with GridLife. Again, first time at Mid-Ohio. Another really fun track. There's a lot to learn there, and honestly, watching this, I feel like I'm going in slow motion from how much I've learned over the season. You can see him being real timid right here around the carousel. This looks like it's in 50% speed. So slow. Anyways, so with GridLife this year, they are doing an out of car instruction. So as you can see, there's no one in the right seat with me. All of us beginners were kind of tossed out on track. They place their instructors around the track, and they give us feedback after each session. This does still include time in the classroom, but it's less. It's less based around a curriculum than NASA, but I still learned a ton, and it was great to have a ton of different people with a ton of different experience instructing on track. So another great weekend. So after Mid-Ohio, literally a week after Mid-Ohio, we left for the FM3 road trip, which is 5 days of autocross, and it's like I said, it's a road trip from Jasper, Indiana, which starts at the RideTech headquarters, and we ended at the Good Guys event in North Carolina, which I actually didn't even go out to. After the first few days of doing autocross with the FM3 group, I mean, I was pretty much beat on that, and we were told at Good Guys that we weren't going to be able to park with any of the actual show itself, and we'd maybe get 2 or 3 runs of autocross in. So honestly, I decided to skip it and go see family and a couple friends out there on the East Coast. Otherwise, I mean, the FM3 trip was great. I wish I had a co-driver with me, honestly, because I couldn't take any of the back roads that they had planned out. So I was pretty much stuck to the highway the entire time. Although there was one Camaro on the trip that I'm like kind of ran into while we were, I think we were in Tennessee, heading to North Carolina. We had a great time driving through the mountains and everything, and that honestly was probably the highlight of the trip. Like I said, it was a good time. Lots of sea time, ton of stuff to learn. With every motorsports discipline is going to come new knowledge and new things to learn and stuff that you probably wouldn't have thought about before while just driving your original discipline. We got a little break throughout May, and then the start of June, as always, is GridLife Midwest for us. This is our 3rd year with GridLife Midwest, or 3rd year with GridLife, 3rd year at Midwest, first time driving at Midwest. Again, great time. I always have fun at Gingerman at any GridLife event, no matter if it's the festival events or if it's the smaller track battle events at Gingerman. It's always a great time. Over the past couple of years, I mean, met a ton of people out there, so it's always good. It's always good to pull up and see all the friendly faces and whatnot. The traffic at the festival events was honestly pretty heavy, but that was kind of to be expected. I think they had somewhere around 100 cars registered in Time Attack alone, so you can imagine the rest of the HPDE field and the rest of the drifting cars that were out there. I felt really great for the first time being on Gingerman. I think I knocked out a 157, and there's still a ton of time left, so next year should be really interesting. And we come a couple short weeks after GridLife Midwest. We had GridLife Round 3 at Autobahn Country Club. This is another track that I've really been looking forward to driving because it's 3 layouts in one weekend. You have, I believe it's the North Course, which is real short, South, which gets a bit more technical, and then the Full Course, which is extremely fun. It's a long track, so you know, it's one of those, if you don't know it and you screw up somewhere, you're gonna cost yourself a whole bunch of time. But another real fun. I had a lot of fun at Autobahn. It was extremely hot, and our canopies got destroyed. But you know, that'll happen. I'm not gonna lie, I was really mad at the time, but now I just kind of laugh about it because, you know, it is what it is. Again, well, actually, I meant to, this weekend I had meant to get into the intermediate group, but I think I was a bit late, and Adam Jabay had asked me to just hop in beginner. I told him, yeah, you know, it's whatever. He said he had a stacked intermediate field, so I wasn't trying to jump in the mix too soon with all those guys. This is the first time that I did have someone cut me off at an event, like heading into a corner, which was kind of funny. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it pissed me off, but it was funny afterwards. Cause, yeah, I mean, I know everyone there really well, so it's like I went straight into pits. It's like, you know, can we get that guy to not do that again? But anyways, another great weekend. Really, again, like I said, it was really hot. It was like 110 degrees. It was awful. It was hotter there than it was at Road Atlanta. This event early in the year, so pretty much every piece of driving that I had done up until this was to prepare for Laguna Seca. This was a race with Lucky Dog Racing League. As always, shout out to Cathy McCause and the rest of the Lucky Dog crew. They put on some great events, and I've been really, really blessed to be able to go out there and participate with them. Like, honestly, this one, I don't think I'll ever forget this race. I don't think I'll ever forget being in that car. I'll never forget sending it up through turn 6, hitting the corkscrew. This was definitely a childhood dream come true for me. This is one of those tracks that it's like no matter what racing game you get, like this is the first track I hop on every time I play like a new game, like a new racing game, you know. I mean, this is one of those, it's just one of those tracks, man. I've never been one to care much about the car that I'm driving. I just love driving. I love driving these crazy tracks. Honestly, this was just a really great time, and I love Laguna Seca. My face, I wish I could have seen my face when I first walked into the paddock. I could feel it, like smile from ear to ear, just, you know, walking in and being like, oh my goodness, like I'm standing here in the middle of Laguna Seca. So that was amazing. There's nothing this season that could have topped this, honestly. I couldn't be more thankful for being able to run this track. So, again, thank you to Cathy McCause and Mo Van Syckle for letting me get in this car and race at Laguna Seca. I honestly, I don't have much more to say. That weekend was fantastic. I don't know what else to add to this, really. I mean, my driving after the first day, once I got comfortable in the car, it became really, really consistent. I'll have to throw some of the times up in here. The first day we went from 33rd to 7th, and then the second day I went from, oh shit, I'm not even sure. I'll have to throw the times up there. But the second day there was a streak of, I think it was like 3 to 5 laps where it was 154s right back to back to back to back. So I was really proud of my driving there. Yeah, I guess that's it for Laguna, man. I can't say much more about it. So from one legendary track to another, we hit Road Atlanta again with the GridLife Track Battle Series, second festival event of the year. The traffic was way less frequent than it was at Midwest. I mean, I got a lot of open, not a lot, but I got a fair amount of open seat time for the amount of time that I actually spent on the track. So unfortunately, I got caught up in traffic at some point on Friday and blew the hose off the radiator overflow. So while being caught in traffic, I was paying attention to the cars in front of me, and by the time I got around those guys and looked up, my thermostat was pegged. So there's only so much I can do about it. I fought the car the rest of the weekend to try to get back on track, but unfortunately it was just a bit too far past gone. So that weekend was called short, and honestly it's why I don't have a lot of great footage from Road Atlanta. That track is scary though, scary and quick. Turn 12 was seriously nerve-wracking. I mean, I'm still on the way slow end at I think it was hitting 100, 110 through turn 12, and I know that's not even close to where I need to be. I'll say I felt fairly comfortable there, despite some of the more scary moments, like coming down here through turn 12. There was a couple times where I put 2 on the curbing, and yeah, you can see the car kind of like bounce right there. It was pretty scary. So again, there's never a time when I'm driving that I'm not having fun. So if you see me driving on track, just assume I'm having fun, because I 99% of the time am. And that actually brings us to the last round of GridLife. As I just mentioned, since I blew up my Accord at Road Atlanta, I didn't really have a car to drive for round 5. I ended up taking the wife's Saab up there just to go hang out and whatnot. I figured, hey, I'll try to catch some ride-alongs with some people or something, and bring my helmet. So I get up there and start talking to everyone and tell them, I don't have a car to drive. So Adam and Chris volunteered the GridLife Spec Fit to toss me in. So again, thanks to Chris and Adam for doing that. I really, really appreciate it. The fact that I'm at the point where people will trust me to, take their car out on track is it's a good feeling, honestly. The car was super fun. Oh, that fit's so slow, but it's so much fun. I've never had a car that a front-wheel drive car that wanted to oversteer so much. I think they had I know there was some BC Racing coilovers on there, and I think a bigger rear bar as well. But yeah, I wanted to step out a lot. So to end the year, we went out for another Lucky Dog Racing League event at Portland International Raceway. This is kind of a monument for me because this was a full year of me having been driving on track. So, as I said at the start of the video, My first race was actually last year, October 2017, was this same race with Lucky Dog. Thanks to QuickTrick Alignment and what we do, we get to sponsor a lot of awesome events, and because of that, I end up in a lot of places where I get tossed into the driver's seat. So I want to start off by saying thank you to Cathy and the entire Lucky Dog Racing League crew. You guys put on a ton of great events, so it's important for all of us to show appreciation for this organization, this league. So also want to say thank you to Tony Partida for throwing me in his Accord. This is it's a huge honor for me to always get thrown the keys, or get put in someone's driver's seat to take their car out on track and race in a what is typically a 50+ car field. This weekend was a wild one. So we can see Robert here, one of the other drivers for Tony, in the car. I unfortunately didn't get any footage of me in the car. Not good footage anyways. I mean, right after this, I got in the car and started fighting the brakes immediately. The pads that were on the car were apparently used in a previous race and hadn't been changed since. We didn't really think anything of it. Well, personally, I didn't know anything about it. But Tony said he didn't really think anything about it, and I don't blame him. You spend so much on race pads, you expect them to last a bit more than, one race. So right now, Robert's in the car, and he's real quick. This is a spec Boxster driver. He's really efficient. Unfortunately, a bit tough on the brakes. So I'm not sure I can't remember what place he got us up to, but it was pretty high up there. He was really cooking them. So I get in the car, I blow through the chicane 3 or 4 different times, which heading down into the chicane, you could see the gauges aren't working, so I can't really tell you how fast we were getting into. It definitely had to be over 110. That Accord was quick as hell. I mean, this is a Acura CL Type S swapped CG Accord. So you can imagine. I mean, I think the top end slightly built. I'm not quite sure on that. It was a ton of power for what I'm used to. That was a ton of power, and we pulled everyone out of every corner. So, like I said, I had almost literally no brake to use. Every time I tried to get on the brakes, I thought it was just because they were hot. Well, I find after so many times of being unable to stop myself coming down the front straight or the back straight, I pulled the car in to have them check the brakes. Well, we pull the wheels off and we are on the backing plates. There was no pad material left. We were grinding into the backing plates at that point. So unfortunately, we had to take a break, pop out some other pads, put them in. By the time that happened, the rain had started to come down. So we were already, like I said, we were in wet weather when I got back out onto the track. So then the brakes became not so much a priority as much as the windshield. Again, unfortunately, there wasn't a blower motor in the car. As you can see, there's nothing there but wiring. So there's nothing to, keep the temperature of the windshield even across both sides. So as you can imagine, the window fogged up real quick. This was not confidence inspiring in the slightest. I had a lot of trouble fighting around this and trying to fight around myself being afraid of the car or being afraid of running into someone because I can't see what the hell's around me. At a certain point, I just had to pull in, and we busted out a stick and wrapped a microfiber cloth around it and started wiping down the windshield as we came down the front straight. It wasn't the greatest solution, but we didn't have much in the way as far as that goes. Later that night, it again got even worse. I mean, it was a 45-minute sprint race at night in the rain. And I thought driving during the day and not being able to see was scary. This was nothing compared to that sprint race. Honestly, that was honestly probably the scariest thing I've ever done in a car. Between the rain and not having a blower motor, every time someone even got close to you and their lights hit the back of your car, you could not see a damn thing. Jason Miles and I of the Giant Motorsport team actually rallied through turn 7. It's the real sharp right-hander before you head onto the back straight. And him and I pulled up on him, and I couldn't see anything from the start through the windshield, and then he couldn't see anything because my lights were on him, and he had turned in way too early, and I didn't see where we were at on track either, so I just followed behind him, and we start to turn, and I get closer and closer, and next thing you know, we're rolling through the grass. So it's one of those things, if you're prepping to run at night at all, first off, make sure your wipers work efficiently. Second, make sure you have a blower motor. And if you don't have a blower motor, make sure you have a damn good way of getting the fog off your windshield. Because otherwise, you're going to be resorting to a stick coming down the front straight, trying to wipe that sucker clean. That entire weekend was really a test of how much I could adapt. We finished the sprint race third in class. I don't know what overall, but it wasn't great, I can tell you that much. So the next day, we have the same issue. Robert hops in the car, first stint of the day, cracks off some great times, makes up a bunch of positions, and then I get back he brings the car in because, once again, the brakes are gone. They are down to the backing plate. There's nothing left, so I have to run into Portland to go grab a set of crappy AutoZone pads, because unfortunately when there's nothing else around, you make do. So I run to an AutoZone. It's probably 20 minutes away, get the pads, come back, throw the pads on, and immediately take it out on track. So we're trying to burnish bed in the pads while we're on a hot racetrack. So I'm trying to do my 70 to 10 mile an hour stops, but it's kind of hard to do that while you have people flying up on you. So I made do and tried to get the pads bedded in as best as I could. It was every time I'd step on the brakes, you'd smell them burning. Unfortunately, I think I just cooked it a bit too much and didn't have enough time to really let them cool down. So despite the brake problems we were having, I hopped in the car at 33rd, and I actually ended up setting the best lap time for Sunday for us at a 1:35.639. So I was pretty happy about that, and we made our way up 9 places at the end of the race. I'm feeling really confident heading into 2019. Got a ton of stuff planned for the Accord for next year, and I wanted to end this by saying that I will be competing in the GridLife Track Battle Series next year in Street, because they just eliminated the drivetrain separation. It will no longer be street front-wheel drive. I will be I will be out there competing with the rest of the other drivetrain layouts. So keep watching. If you somehow made it this far into the video, I really, really appreciate it. If you sub and like, I'll have plenty more content on the way next year. Again, thanks for watching. See you guys